kind of quarantined, I guess. So they shut down our badges to the building. So I was going to do all of this instruction either on paper, like I have been, like, you know, writing it on the paper, or going into the classroom and kind of writing it on the whiteboard or the document camera. They've shut down all access to the building, so I don't have a printer at home, so I can't print it off. I can make assignments on my computer and upload them to you all, but I can't print them off. I don't have access to my classroom at all, so this kind of sucks. But what I do have is, thankfully, I brought my own mini whiteboards home. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you these examples. Okay, I'm hoping that you can see all this. I'm on the Introduction to Exponent Rules right now, and these are two problems that I already have worked out for you on the multiplication rule. Okay, so what I want to talk about is what this says right here is this says x to the fourth times x to the third. Okay, this says x to the fourth times x to the third. So these two things are being multiplied. So x to the fourth is being multiplied by x to the third. So this is really the first time that we're kind of seeing things that have exponents really, like I know that we did like x squared and we did like numbers squared before, but this is really the first time that we're seeing more complicated exponents. So I just want to make sure everything's clear here. This is x to the fourth multiplied by x to the third. So what you're going to do is you're going to see all of this kind of written out in expanded form. So x to the fourth, if we kind of wrote that out, it would be like this. It would be 4 x's, all right? X to the fourth just means that there's 4 x's. So we have x, 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 x. So there's 4 of those. Then I put my multiplication symbol in between x to the fourth and x to the third, just like I did over here, okay? So this is multiplication symbol. And then I have x to the third represented as 1, 2, 3 x's. So this is x to the fourth, and this is x to the third. So I have it written out for you all. And in the blank spaces, you're going to do this as well. You're going to kind of write it out all the way. And then your answer, your solution, is x to the seventh. So what I want you to notice here is when you write this out, how many x's do you have in total? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's how I got x to the seventh. So what you need to be thinking about is if I were to just go from this column to this column, what would I do to these two numbers? All right, because when we get to like really complicated things, you don't want to be having, and trust me, it's going to get really complicated. This is like super basic. You don't want to have to write it out every time. Like that's so annoying and that's so extra. We're not going to do that. We're not going to write it out every time. This is kind of just an activity to get you to realize the pattern of what's going on when we multiply variables, what happens to their exponents. So what you're going to do is you're going to do all of that for the blank spaces, but I also do want to talk about this one because this is kind of something that, kids get confused about a lot, and even adults, really. So we have x to the first times x to the seventh. Now, I need you to think about what it means if we just have an x. Okay, if we just have an x, if there's no number in front, what does that mean? Okay, so be thinking about that. So clearly, that means that there is a 1 in front of the x. So we need to kind of switch gears and be thinking about what it means if I were to just erase this 1 right here. Okay, what would that mean if I just erase that 1 right there? We need to be we need to be changing our mindset from being numbers in front of here, which we are going to have numbers in front, like later on. But now we're really, really focusing on what's going on in the exponent. So if I didn't have anything in the exponent here, that would still mean x to the first. So I want to make that really clear. Even if I did not have anything right here, this would still mean x to the first. So let's just see what's going on when I wrote this all out. So we have x to the first and x to the seventh. These two things are being multiplied. X to the first times x to the seventh. So then I have 1x for x to the first. And then I have 7 x's for x to the seventh. So then your solution would be x to the eighth. So I really want you to be thinking about if I didn't have this expanded format, what's happening with these numbers? How did I get x to the 8th? But clearly, if we count them, we have 8 x's. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to go ahead and fill the rest of that table out using kind of my instruction here. I think you should be able to do that. Now, what I want you to do now is go to the back of your paper, and we're going to look at the division rule. Okay, we're going to look at the division rule. So I have a couple of these written out, just 2 of them. I know I have 3 examples on the paper, but we're just going to talk about 2 of them right now. So let's look at this first one. X to the 4th divided. I need you to refrain from saying over, okay? X to the 4th divided by x to the 3rd. So x to the 4th is being divided, all right, that's operation, x to the 3rd. Now, let's go ahead and kind of do what we did before. Let's write all of them out in kind of an expanded format. Okay, all the x's are written out. So clearly we would have 4 x's on the top and 3 x's on the bottom. And you're probably like, okay, what the heck is going on here? X to the 1st? Well, look at this. If we were to do 3 divided by 3, all right, remember those would kind of eliminate, would kind of cancel. So it's kind of the same thing here, okay? We're going to have these pairs of x's eliminate or cancel. We're going to have these pairs of x's eliminate or cancel. And then we're also going to have these pairs of x's eliminate or cancel. So we have 1 x left. And that's how I got x to the 1st. Now, I need you to be very clear on this, that if I wanted to go even further than this, x to the 1st, then that would just be x. Your answer would just be x. Remember on the last board, I said that x to the 1st and x were the same thing. So that would be, and go ahead and write that down, please, in this kind of crossing out motion. We have 1 x left, so your answer is x to the 1st or just x. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and give you like 15 seconds to kind of think about that because this one's a little bit harder. Okay. All right, so now in this next one, we have x squared over x to the 8th. So what I did is I wrote all of them out just like before. So I have 2 x's right here to represent x squared, or x to the 2nd power. And then I wrote out 8 x's down here. So let's kind of do what we did up here. Let's kind of pick pairs on the bottom and the top to kind of cross out that like we can. So we have 1 pair. I'm kind of going to go, I don't know, kind of going to go diagonal here. So that's 1 pair of x's gone. All right. Now we do have a 2nd pair of x's gone, but we realize that both of these x's are gone. Now, if they're gone, remember we are dividing. We're not adding or subtracting. Okay, we are dividing. So if we don't have a number up top, it's not that we don't have anything. It's that we have 1. So that's how I got 1 on the numerator. So if there's nothing left on the top, it's a 1 on top. Okay, now let's look at the bottom. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 x's that are left. Yep, 6 x's that are left. So that's how I got x to the 6th on the bottom. So 1 is on the top because all the x's eliminated up here. It's not 0, you all. It's 1. Okay, it's 1. It's not 0. There's a 1 up here, and then there's 6 x's left down here. So that's x to the 6th power. And that would be your answer. So here's what I need you to be thinking about. Okay, and I do ask a question like this on the bottom of the paper. For the division rule for exponents, I need you to be thinking about what's, like if I didn't write any of this stuff in the middle, if I just went from this to this, what's going on with this 4 and 3 that I could get to x to the 1st? Like, how would I figure that out? Like, what operation is going on with 4 and 3? So clearly x to the 4th and x to the 3rd is being divided. Okay, but what's going on with those exponents? Same thing here. X squared and x to the 8th are clearly being divided. But what's going on with 8 and 2? How did I get 6 and a 1 on top? So I really need you to be thinking about, like, maybe where the bigger number is over here on these problems and kind of what's left over on these solutions. So if you have any questions about that, please, please, please ask me. And here's the main thing. On this assignment, you're just going to fill out the rest of the table. And then you're also there's going to be 2 questions on the bottom of the multiplication and the division rule. There's going to be 2 questions. And then, so one of them is going to be a question, and then one of them is going to be like fill in the blank. So this is kind of just multiplication and division. What do we do to exponents, basically, when we multiply and divide variables with exponents? So you all, this is just a very, very, very tough thing. This is really unfortunate that we have to be learning. Like, I'm teaching this over virtual and you have to be learning this over virtual. It's kind of sad because this is one of my favorite things to teach because it is very, very difficult. All right. So please make sure that you're asking me questions. If you have questions, if you're confused, I'm not going to be mad. I've never been mad about someone being confused or having a question. Okay. So go ahead and let me know if you're confused or have questions, but this assignment needs to be done along with the next video's assignment. Okay, this is just instruction part 1 for the first assignment.